Tour Junkies.
What's going on, golf addicts? DB here talking about LIV Golf Chicago at Bolingbrook Golf Club. Going to talk some betting picks this week. We're going to get into it pretty quickly. Key factors on the golf course. We're going to talk about key stats. What's at stake this week? Because it is the final event of the LIV Golf 2024 regular season. The individual champion will be crowned. It will either be Jon Rahm or Joaquin Niemann. And then you've got team seedings going into the team finale next week in Dallas, Texas at Maridoe Golf Club. Different golf course this week at Bolingbrook. But I'm also going to share my screen, as I always do, talk through some of my favorite bets for the week. Probably make some decisions here live because in terms of top 5 finishers, I got a number of guys I'm kind of interested in the storyline because this is the week where guys kind of go in and out of these different zones of eligibility here at LIV Golf. So there is relegation involved. There is promotion involved at stake for a lot of these players on a bubble, so to speak. So I've got some top 5s I need to make some decisions on. I've got a few matchups. Normally, I don't like a lot of the matchups, but this week I've found a few 54-hole tournament head-to-head matchups that I think are interesting. BetOnline is even doing spreads for these matchups with strokes, which I think is interesting. So I'm going to, share my screen, look through some of those, and talk about who I like to win this week. I will remind you that now this is I believe this is the 13th event of the LIV season. So through 12 events, your boy is up 57 units on the season, thanks to 3 nuclear 40-unit outright winners so far through 12 events. I haven't hit one in a minute, but I was hot in the beginning of the season. I feel like I feel like this is going to happen for me. I got to hit one here. So let's talk a little bit about Bolingbrook. I was going to do a screen share and go through the golf course, but I can't find one on YouTube that doesn't want to give me ads, so I'm not going to do that. But it's pretty basic. They are reversing the 9s this week. Shout out to my boy Chris in the comments. Chris Hart's local Chicago legend out there. Chris, will you be on site at LIV? Let me know. If you will be on site at LIV, let me know in the comments anyway. Like, subscribe on YouTube if you have not already. And please consider a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you're listening on one of those platforms, which most of you are. So, but if you're not, drop a comment in the YouTube page. They are reversing the 9s. It is a public course, and you can play this place for like $90 when it's over. I'm not sure, what all that means, but whatever. I mean, there's a lot of public golf courses that professional golfers play on. Bolingbrook, off the jump, if I'm honest, doesn't seem to have a ton of character. If you ask me, based on the flyovers, based on what I've looked at, it seems to be a pretty flat property, pretty wide open property. I think off the tee, from what I'm hearing on site, these guys are just going to absolutely send it. There is some water out there that could potentially mess up some things if you go too far out off the grid. But for the most part, I think these guys are going to send it. It's par 70. It's only 7,000 yards. Arthur Hill's design back in the early 2000s. Like I said, pretty open off the tee. The greens, though, are, I guess, the real issue because they're kind of small. Some of them have some undulation in character. Some of them I've seen are pretty flat looking, at least from the flyover. It's hard to tell with a flyover, but I don't know. They don't seem to have a ton to them, but they're pretty small. So and if they do have undulation, that's going to make the landing areas even smaller. They are a bent POA, typical Midwestern, northern-ish, above the Mason-Dixon line, kind of, bent grass POA mix. Pretty basic, pretty pure, it seems like. I think this is going to be a birdie fest. I think this is going to be an absolute birdie fest. I think these guys are going to be attacking flags, attacking these greens. The weather looks pretty perfect. I know this is like 30 so miles outside the city of Chicago. So, but based on the wind predictions, I don't see a lot of wind for the windy city out there near Bolingbrook. So I think this is going to be a feast for these boys. This is going to be, let's just send it and make some birdies happen. And for that reason, it does bring in some variance, definitely brings in some variance. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to be easy to separate yourself off the tee. I think you're going to separate yourself with iron play and with putting, making putts. If scrambling a little bit, maybe on these par 5s, but you better not be scrambling a lot because I think we're going to see some really low scores here. So I talked about kind of what's at stake, and I don't want to get into all of the different zones and what's going on, but there's a lock zone, which is your top 24 in the standings. And then there's the open zone, which is 25 to 48. And then there's the drop zone, which is literally relegation. If you finish 49th or beyond, you are relegated, and you have to requalify to get back on to LIV unless you have some sort of exemption, which is likely to happen for a guy like Bubba Watson, for example, who's currently on he's 52. So that's trouble. But for these guys on the kind of teetering on the edge of this drop zone, your Pat Perez, Harold Varner, Poulter's okay, Phil's okay. Kazuma, who just won, I believe, on an Asian Tour event, I think it was. Mito Pereira. These kind of guys are probably looking at, let me have a decent week and make sure I stay inside this drop zone. I don't think anybody other than maybe Perez, Varner, Kazuma are in real trouble of falling out of this thing and not being on a team next year. But yeah, I think, and then you have guys near the top of the lock zone like David Puig, Cam Tringali, who just, I don't know that Cam Tringali is, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but he doesn't seem like a guy who feels like just got to have on his team next year. And so if he wants to move him around, he probably could. Puig is obviously kind of playing for something. I think that somewhat matters to these guys, but for the most part, the real storyline is who's going to win the individual championship. And the individual championship is going to come down to Jon Rahm or Joaquin Niemann. Nobody else can statistically win it. So it's got to be one of those two guys. Rahm has a slight advantage, slight lead at the moment, but the lead is pretty narrow. If Niemann beats Rahm, it's pretty much there. So that will be interesting to see. And by the way, I didn't know this until the other day. They get a ring, which I've seen some people online making fun of, and whatever. Like I take my shots at the PGA Tour. I take my shots at LIV Golf for some of the cheesy stuff they do. The ring thing is pretty crazy. I don't have all the details in front of me, but it's like this thing is freaking blinged out. There's like diamonds. There's black diamonds. I think there's not blood diamonds, but there's black diamonds. There's some emerald in there. There's some other thing in there. It's got a thing that flips open and you scan a QR code to show the winning moment. It's kind of wild. I'm just interested to see it. But they obviously get a paycheck and they get the LIV Golf Individual Championship title to their name, and that is what you're talking about. The other side kind of story to this, outside of all the zones and the individual championship, is teams as they head into the team finale next week in Dallas in terms of seedings. So getting a first round bye, all that kind of stuff. So that stuff I can talk about on next week's show, but let's get into the action here on Bet Online. We're going to start with the teams. All right. So I've got a number of bets here that I'm working through. Let me, you know what? I'm going to zoom in the screen here. I got one team. It's Torquay, headed up by Joaquin Niemann. Now, I'm not going to bet the favorite, Legion 13. Not going to do it. Then you give me Joaquin Niemann, who is in contention for that individual title, as I mentioned. But you've also got a few other things going on for the team of Torquay. You've got Sebastian Munoz, who is in the, where is Munoz? He's like borderline lock zone. So Munoz is, let me find him. He's 23. Only the top 24 are locked. He has had some decent finishes lately. He's helped contribute to some of Torquay's success. He's the third man on the team, really, in terms of performance. Niemann's obviously been the best. Ortiz has been really solid all year. Munoz has played better than Mito by a long shot. Munoz has, let's see, 1, 2, 3 top 10s, including his last finish at the Greenbrier. And on that borderline for the lock zone, I feel like Munoz is going to play well. We know Niemann's going to play well. Ortiz, what can you say about the guy? Very consistent. He's got a win this year. He's got 2 other top 10s. He's been pretty consistently in the top 20-ish, top 25, very consistently all season. He sits 13th in the standings, and he's just kind of doing everything well. When you look statistically at what Ortiz has done, the total driving's been great, 13th in greens and regulation. Scrambling's always been good, 16th in birdie average. So like Ortiz has just been solid. And I don't think Mito is truly in trouble, even if he were to get out of the drop zone. He's also 43rd in the standings. A lot would have to happen probably for him to fall out of that. And he's boys with Niemann, so I don't see him going anywhere next year. I think he's got a job, but I'm sure a part of him has to think like, I need to put some good finish on paper. He has one top 10 this season. In fact, he has one top 25. It was that top 10. It was the T8. His best finish other than that was last event at the Greenbrier at a T28. I just feel like this team has the whole thing has something to play for. All four guys have something to play for. Or at least with Ortiz, you get a lot of consistency. And at plus 650, I'm intrigued. In terms of the team standings, let me find the team. Let me flip over to the team standings. Torquay is currently 5th. I don't think they can make it. I don't know if they can squeeze into the bye, whatever. I don't know if they can get enough points to get to the point where they can earn a bye into the team finale next week. I don't think they can. I don't think they can catch Ripper and Legion and the Crushers, but I do think Torquay is primed for a victory. They haven't had one this season. They've had 2 third-place finishes and a runner-up finish in Hong Kong. So I do think they're primed and ready for a win. Plus 650. I think they're all doing it. I think they're all doing it. Oh, we're getting word, boots on the ground information. I mean, this is unbelievable. Chris, my buddy, texted me saying Sergio came into the Target that he manages, the Target, and he needed some allergy meds. Oh, God dang it! I do hear the allergies there outside of Chicago this time of year are terrible. I don't hear that, but listen, I'm in Georgia where we have pollen and allergies like basically 9 months out of the year. So I don't understand anyone pissing and moaning about allergies outside of the Southeast, but hopefully Serge is okay. Get him some, hopefully he doesn't look like Hitch out there, ball bubbled up, needing a Benadryl. But that is brutal. That is brutal. Spaz says it's ragweed season. Well, that's tough. I got hit with a ragweed spell in Scotland when I was playing golf in Scotland, and I literally blacked out for like 6 holes at Carnoustie because I couldn't see, I couldn't open my eyes. I think I had snot coming out of my ears. It was just the worst. But so that's a tough scene. Anyway, Torquay is my team for the team championship, and that's it. Plus 650. That's the bet. Let's talk about individual champ. Every tournament I've pretty much had at least 3 guys. I think sometimes I try to get in 4. I'm not overcomplicating it this week. I think it's one of these 2. As I've already mentioned, I don't take the favorite. I'm not taking John Rahm 5-1. Just on principle, guys. It's just principle. Don't worry about it. It's just principle. But I want Neiman because Neiman's been good to me all year. I've hit him both times he's won. He is obviously playing for that individual title. 9-1, almost twice the odds as Rahm. It hasn't been maybe as consistent as Rahm, but he's obviously gotten across the finish line twice and been quite consistent. But so Neiman is a no-brainer. I think Bryson is largely in play here. I talked about how I think it's pretty wide open here. I think this is a absolute send it situation. I think that's going to prove well for Bryson. And he's going to have a ton of short irons, short approaches into these greens. He's 8th in iron play this year, scrambling well, putting it better than he used to. T12 on the season in terms of putting average. Bryson at 8-1 just feels like a full on go for me. I think he's going to reach these par 5s into even the longer one, 600 yards. I think the prevailing wind is slightly down. I think he's going to have a drivable par 4 option as well. I just see Bryson being the guy here at 8-1, and he's not won yet this season, which I is kind of crazy to think about. As obviously won the U.S. Open, but his best finish so far is a T3. But he's played solid. I just don't see the season ending without Bryson getting a win. So I'm in on Bryson. I'm in on Joaquin. It's really not that complicated for me beyond that. Then we get into the complicated factors with the top 5s. So let's look at my top 5 bets. I want to kind of go deep here because it's just fun. Let's just hit it. Let's see if we can hit us a long shot top 5. The first one I want to talk about is our friend of the podcast, fellow geriatric with my boy Pat, and it's Dickie B. Dickie B's played some extremely consistent golf this year, and the guy, statistically, Dickie B kind of low key, like really strong. T4 at the Greenbrier last time out. I mean, his worst finish this season is a T31. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 top 15 finishes. Now, again, only one top 5. That was the last event at the Greenbrier. We're talking 5-1 for Dick Bland. He's not in danger of any sort of relegation or anything. He's good, but we know he didn't hit it very far, but he is 10th in fairways hit. This is only a 7,000-yard golf course. It's not like you have to be long, okay? And I know this is kind of opposite land of Bryson, but I think Dick Bland is in play. He's 3rd in greens in regulation, scrambles well. He's 10th in birdie average. The old man is 10th in birdie average. You're going to have to make some birds here. A top 5 for Dickie B, I think, is in play. I've already talked about Munoz a little bit. Just has a little extra motivation, little extra something to play for. No top 5s this year, but a T6 at the Greenbrier, T7 in Nashville, and a T9 in Las Vegas. I don't know. Like, the more I think about it, maybe if I had to pick between these two, I might like Dickie B a little more at 5-1. I talked about Ortiz a little bit too, just because the guy has just been so consistent all season, and it seems like every week he's kind of showing up. Now, he's not been as consistent as Dickie B, honestly, but he's got some spike finishes with his T4 in Hong Kong and his win in Houston. You know, I don't know. I think Ortiz top 5 has, is in play. Again, if I had to pick one, I think I still like Dick Bland. So right now, and I told you guys, I'm trying to narrow this down because I only want a couple of these. I want Dickie B. I think I'd probably take Ortiz over Munoz at this point, but I got 2 more here. And, HV3 is kind of a homer pick for me, but it's also a situational thing because HV3 is 47th in the standings. He is threatening the drop zone situation. If he does not have a decent week, he's in a little bit of trouble. Now, do I think he has the top 5? Probably not. He's not come close all year. Best finish was a T15, and that was in where was that? Hong Kong. So I don't love it, but HV needs to get on his horse and do something because I don't know that like he's guaranteed anything next year. And I hate that for him because we're boys. But at double the odds, you also have Brandon Grace at 28-1, who this has been by far his worst LIV season. I mean, he's had a couple good LIV seasons to start things off. I want to look at Brandon Grace. Where is he? He is there he is. In terms of season-long statistics, 16th in fairways, 10th in greens and reg. I mean, for a guy who's he's outside the zone. He's 50th. Now, he's on the South African team. Who knows? Like, he's probably they're going to bring him back. But he's 50th in the drop zone. I'm sure he would like to not have that situation have to happen or that decision have to be made. He needs to get into the top 48. So he's got more work to do than HV3. And he's not had any good finishes really to speak of. He's got a 15th in Jeddah, and that is it. But he just can't get the ball in the hole. Like his around the green play putting has been terrible. He literally cannot get the ball in the hole. That is obviously a problem in golf. So, but the accuracy off the tee and the iron play has been there, and that's going to be a benefit this week for sure. So 28-1. Maybe the play here is because I don't know, like at double the odds. At least Brandon Grace has shown us in the previous 2 LIV seasons, he's got real upside. And he's outside that lock zone, and he's hitting it like HV3. Like, let's look at HV3. Statistically, HV3 doing nothing well, literally nothing, like no category. So double the odds. Maybe it's Grace at 28. So my favorite 3 are going to be Grace, Ortiz, and Bland. Bland is my favorite. If I only had to pick 2, I'd go Bland and Grace, and then Ortiz would be the 3rd guy in. So those are the top 5 bets. All right, let's wrap this up with some matchups. Let me see if I can remember where those are. I think they're here. Yeah. So I think this is kind of interesting. Spaz says, I hope HV3 is dropped. Want him back on tour. I don't know how easy that would be, bud. Why do I like Reed? Well, I mean, I love Patrick Reed, but I don't know. I just like Birdie Fest Patrick Reed. I've never loved. I always liked him on a harder golf course. Short game can come into play. I don't know. I don't love that. But this is interesting to me. I mean, if I like Bryson to win, I gotta like this. I can get a little bit of juice, minus 105. Got to pay a little juice to get him to at plus 1.5 strokes in a 54 hole tournament matchup against John Rahm. So obviously, if he wins or finishes one shot behind Rahm, I win this matchup. If I want to take him straight up, he's plus 135. I don't mind that either. I think this is kind of fun how they do the spread on Bet Online. I've not seen that anywhere else. Maybe you have. I have not. I think that's a fun one. But as much as I'm believing in Bryson, I mean, I bet Bryson wants to end the LIV season with a victory as much as John Rahm wants to win the LIV individual championship. And these guys are both extremely talented. And you could say Bryson's had a better year outside of LIV golf than John Rahm. And at least in terms of the majors, that is definitely true. So it's not like Bryson can't take down John Rahm. Like I think these are very interesting bets. So I'm in on that. Talked enough about Dickie B. And I know Leishman's kind of come on here lately. But I would not make Leishman he had T4 at the Greenbrier, had a runner-up earlier in the season. I mean, he's finished. He's played well. Him and Bland have played, solid here the last few events. But I'm gonna just magnify this a little bit. Okay, well that's annoying. No, okay. But Dick Bland is the dog here in the spread. Now I'm paying a lot of juice, paying a whole lot of juice. So I'd probably rather just take this money line. I'd probably rather just take the money line bet. So, but I do like Dickie B over Leishman just because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Dickie B. I don't love that one as much as I love the Bryson Rahm matchup. And I think that will do it. I think that's let me make sure. Yep. That'll do it. Those are the bets. So Torquay to win the team championship, Bryson and Neiman outright. Top 5 finishes. I'm going to go with Dick Bland. I'm going to go with Carlos at 5-1, Carlos Ortiz at 6-1, and Brandon Grace at 28-1. I'm going to take Bryson in a head-to-head tournament matchup over John Rahm, and Dickie B over Mark Leishman. Those are your LIV Golf Chicago bets. I will do a Bryson could break 50 here. Yes, I actually I kind of thought about that. I think this place is ripe for a super low score. So I think we're going to see some birdies. LIV wants the fireworks. I don't blame them. I mean, I don't blame them. Let's make fireworks happen. Let's go low. Let's have a good week. The weather looks perfect. Next week's the team championships in Dallas. I'll do a show for that. And listen, it's LIV Golf. You can bet on it a lot of different places. I show you Bet Online because it's free. It's available to everybody, being a reputable offshore book. Obviously, LIV is available in legal stateside books in certain markets. If they are, check those markets out. I just do Bet Online because it's available to everybody. It's less available in a lot of states that even are legal, but that's going to change in 2025. There's a lot of storylines to follow this week. A lot of stuff going on. Is it the most exciting golf course I've seen on LIV Golf? No. But you could also watch the Pro Tour, and that's not exciting either. So here we are. It's football season is what I got. It's basically football season. Maybe I'll put together like a 3-way. You know what? If I could find a way to do a, let's do this. Let's just see. Hang on. Let's do, let's get weird, shall we? Let me go back to that Bryson. This is bonus coverage here. This is bonus coverage. Let me go back to that Bryson. I'm going to do the Bryson minus 105. I'm going to see if Bet Online will let me do this, because I'm sure the other books would, but it won't be. Let's take it. Somebody give me an NFL bet for like the Thursday night game. Give me a good prop bet, something like that. I'm gonna go to Procore. I'm gonna go to where are my placements at? Huh? Futures, Procore. Where's Procore? I want to do a parlay. That's what I'm cooking up here. I'm doing a parlay. Why can't I find Procore top 20s? What am I missing here? Sometimes navigating the Bet Online website is just no fun at all. Okay, now I can't find it. Somebody give me an NFL bet. Hurry. Easy really likes Pacheco over rushing yards prop. What is it? What is it? Give it to me. What is that? What is that prop? Why don't I see top 20s anymore? There were top 20 bets available, and now there's not for the Procore. Parkour. Anyway, okay, well, jeez. I was gonna do the Bryson head-to-head prop builder, maybe? No. I was gonna do the Bryson head-to-head against Rom, and then I was gonna do I'll do the Pacheco thing if you guys like that. And then I like Luke Clanton top 20 this week. But all right, maybe they took it down because it started. That's what it is. All right. Hey, let's have fun. LIV Golf Chicago. All right. Bend over your bookies. See ya.